Welcome to this special episode today on Talks a Lot. We are calling today's episode the Red River Special. We'll be discussing topics regarding party leaders and Confederation. Confederation is when all of the British colonies joined into one nation, making Canada. Our first guest today will be Robert Semple. So Robert, when and where were you born?
I was born February 26, 1777 in Boston.
How were you involved in the HBC?
I was the governor of the Hudson Bay Company from autumn 1815 until my death.
Thank you so much for giving your time to talk to us today. So great to have you here today. So our first question for you is, what was the Canadian Party and what part did you play?
The Canadian Party was a group founded in 1865. I was a businessman, medical practitioner, and politician.
How were you involved in government?
I was a member of the Canadian House of Commons in 1871 to 1882. I was a senator from 1882 to 1888 and was the 5th governor of Manitoba from 1888 until 1895.
Thanks for giving your time today. We are now welcoming another visitor to answer some questions for us. Let's welcome Thomas Scott. Thomas, when did you come to Canada?
I immigrated to Canada in 1863.
What are your political views?
I was known for being a violent and boisterous person with Protestant and French sympathy.
When were you executed and who executed you?
Louis Riel was the one who approved my execution. It was on March 4th, 1817. I was sentenced to death and executed by being burnt to death in the courtyard of Fort Garry.
Thanks for sharing with us today. Next, we are going to talk about the seigneurial system. The seigneurial system was a system that would divide the land into pieces that were given out to people. These pieces of land were often given to people of specific social classes. Our next visitor is George Simpson, who is involved with the Hudson's Bay Company. When did you come to Canada?
I first came to Canada in 1833. I made my headquarters in Lachine, which is just outside Montreal. This is where I courted my politicians, entertained others, and involved my money in banks and transportation projects.
Who were you married to, and when did you get married?
I was married to Frances Faith Simpson. We got married on February 24th, 1830, at St. Mary's Church in Middlesex. We were married for 23 years until my wife passed on.
What is Fort Garry?
Fort Garry is a trading post for the Hudson Bay Company, which was established in 1822 and is an administrative center.
When and how did the HBC and NWC merge?
In 1784, the Northwest Company and the Hudson Bay Company merged. They did so by agreeing to share everything each company owned. This new company would be called the Hudson Bay Company.
Thanks for sharing with us today. We are now going to welcome Lord Selkirk. So, when and where were you born?
I was born in St. Mary's Isle on June 20th, 1771.
Can you explain to us what the Selkirk Grant is?
The Selkirk Grant is something I established myself. There was lots of farmland with lots of sheep, but there were no farmers. So I gave HBC food in exchange for this land. I also got poor people that were unemployed that were used as farmers for the sheep on this large lot of land.
Oh, thank you so much for giving us that information. Johnny MacDonald is our next guest. To get started, what was your political career like?
Well, I played an important role in the Confederation of British North America in 1867, which brought together 4 provinces to form the Dominion of Canada. I also was the first Prime Minister of Canada. In total, my political career lasted for almost a half a century.
What were your political views?
I was more of a state politician. I was strongly anti-French and anti-Catholic. As well as the Métis, I prejudiced against them because of their bicultural heritage. I defended the imperial prerogative and the state support of the denominational education, and I opposed the abolition of the first child receiving all the family rights.
Thank you for your time. Duncan Cameron is our next visitor. To start us off, when and where were you born?
I was born in Glenmoriston, Scotland in 1764.
Something new that came up was the Métis Charter of Rights and Freedoms. These were rights agreed upon by the Convention of the Red River Settlement. They were adopted by a meeting held in Fort Garry on Wednesday, December 1st, 1869. I'm assuming this would have meant something to you as you were involved with the Métis. How else were you involved in politics?
I led several raids against Hudson's Bay Red River Colony and stirred up a bit of resentment among the Métis. I was then arrested by Colin Robertson and sent back to England for trial. Later, I was acquitted and compensated for false arrest, and I later returned to Upper Canada to represent the county in the 9th Parliament.
What part did you play in the Northwest Company?
I joined the Northwest Company in 1795 and became a partner in charge of many different departments, including Nipigon, Lake Winnipeg, Lac-la-Pluie, and the Red River Department.
Thank you so much for talking to us today. We will now welcome Cuthbert Grant. How are you involved with the Métis?
I was a Métis leader and a captain at Seven Oaks. I led 100 Métis families to settle at Whitehorse Plains. I founded the Métis Nation.
What part did you have in this Battle of Seven Oaks?
We met a group of HBC workers and tradesmen on the English side of Seven Oaks, and I led the Métis to a victory in an unplanned battle at Seven Oaks on June 19, 1816. 21 HBC men were killed and only one Métis.
What were the Red River carts?
They were carts made of wood and tied together with leather. They could easily be repaired and were very buoyant, so you could take them across water. The Métis first used it to farm and carry meat from hunting trips. Every season, 300 carts would make a trip carrying furs and trade goods from the Red River colony.
Thank you for listening. Well, isn't this also interesting? Now we are going to hear about food. One common type of food was banh. It was unleavened bread that was very filling and could often have spices, dried fruit, or nuts. Our next guest, Miles McDonald, is going to tell us about another kind of food that was eaten. Can you please tell us about pemmican and what was the Pemmican Proclamation?
The Pemmican Proclamation was a decree that I made that forbade the export of pemmican and the provisions from Red River Colony. The Pemmican Proclamation angered many Métis and Northwest Company traders who saw it as a move against them.
What influence did you have in politics?
Well, I was appointed captain in the Royal Canadian Volunteers in 1796, and I later became the sheriff of Home District in 1807. I was called to England by Selkirk in 1811 and was appointed first governor of Assiniboia. I led the initial party of settlers to Red River Colony in 1812.
Thank you so much for your time, Miles. Smallpox was a very dangerous disease in Canada, affecting many of the First Nations. Luckily, it was eradicated in 1979. Now we have Luriel, and boy, does he have lots to share with us. Can you tell us about Manitoba joining Confederation?
Well, it began May 12, 1870. Manitoba entered as a province and not a territory. The French and English rights of culture and speech were very much protected. Protestant and Roman Catholic educational rights were protected in that time as well.
What was the provisional government?
A provisional government, also called an interim or transitional government, is an emergency governmental authority set up to manage political transition, generally in the cases of new nations or following the collapse of the previous governing administration.
When did the HBC monopoly end, and what happened?
Alright, so there was a group of fundamental free trades among Métis after the Red River Company opposed the monopoly's rights in 1821. In 1849, Britain granted the company Vancouver Island, BC, to be developed as an agricultural settlement.
Thank you for sharing with us today.
You're welcome.
Now joining us, we have William McDougall. When did Canada buy Rupert's Land?
Rupert's Land, the territory granted by the British Crown to the Hudson's Bay Company in 1670, was purchased by the Government of Canada in 1870. It was approximately 3 million hectares were purchased for $1.5 million in Canadian currency.
What economic problems were there in Red River?
There was major problems with the bison resources that then relied heavily on the provisional trade of the Plains, First Nation, and the Métis. This caused major inter-tribe wars, which were also known as Buffalo Wars.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
It has been such an interesting evening, hasn't it? For our last guest of the night, we're welcoming Colonel Wolseley. So, when and where were you born?
I was born June 4th, 1833 in Dublin. I unfortunately died March 25th, 1913 in St. Paul's Cathedral in London. So that was too bad.
And what can you tell us about the Red River Expedition?
The Red River Expedition. The military force were sent to Manitoba after the transfer of the Hudson's Bay Territory in Canada in 1870. Under myself were 400 British regulars, 800 Ontario and Quebec militants. The government tried to give the impression it was not a punitive expedition against Louis Riel's provisional government, but the militant men wanted to avenge the execution of Thomas Scott.
Thanks for sharing with us today.
Anytime.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. It has been wonderful hearing all the stories from all of the eyewitnesses who experienced these things firsthand. Thank you once again, and tune in next week to hear about the newest thing in the food industry: sliced bread. Talks a lot. Sorry, I read that.
Brooklyn Richmond.
Rachel. Alicia. Okay. You idiot! I'm filming. Don't cross your
Wait, how do you
legs.
say that?
Practice.
No
Hey
mind.
guys, we're filming now. Shut up. Next, we're going to talk about the scenarios. When and where were you born?
I was born in Scotland.
Here you go.
Paul's Cathedral in London.
Okay, good try, but it's March 25th.
What did I say?
March 15th.
I was on a roll too. I was really just.
Thank you so much for giving your time to talk to us today. When and how did the Hudson Bay Company and Northwest restart?
2-1, Brianne Lee.
It's so great to have you here today.
3, 2, 1, go.
Wait, sorry, stop.
In Scotland in 1876.
Oh,
1760.